Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to episode number 7 of KAL Experience. Hope you guys are all having a great day today, and thanks for joining. So last weekend was my wife's birthday, so we had an amazing time. Actually, I surprised her and took her away for a couple of nights. We stayed local. We went to Morristown, New Jersey, went to some nice restaurants and had a really nice brunch, and got some pedicures. We went to go see that movie, The Photograph, which we both really enjoyed. We did go to like a little bit of a later showing. I was enjoying myself. I'm watching it, and then like certain points during the movie, I kind of wanted to, get not so much talk, but just get my wife's reaction to certain things that were happening. So, look to my right, and I'm like, oh, she's sleeping. She's sleeping right now. So she fell asleep during a couple of parts of the movie, which just means maybe we got to see it again. Probably wait till it, obviously comes out from theaters and everything. So today's episode, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about the importance of first impressions. And I have a really, really interesting story that I think you guys will really find some value in. Most of you know that I spent 12 years working for Verizon before leaving to become a middle school math teacher. I actually have 2 master's degrees. I have a master's in telecommunications management, and I also have my MBA degree. And so the school, Strayer University, that I went to for my MBA, they contacted me and they wanted to see if I'd be interested in being featured in one of their periodicals. This one here. I said, absolutely, yeah, let's do it. And I wanted to read this to you really quick, and then we're gonna dive into today's episode. So this is what it looks like right here. And it says, Kevin Allen, MBA 2016, Product Innovation and Strategy Manager, Internet of Things, Verizon. Learning has long been a part of Kevin's life and career. I saw my MBA program as a chance to bring together and really solidify the skills I had picked up throughout my career, he says. After earning his degree, Kevin was well positioned to take on new opportunities in his role at Verizon. It's simple. I really love learning new things, and that's motivating. I am compelled to apply the learning to different areas of my life. It pushes me to be innovative. In his current role, Kevin manages partnerships with businesses to provide Verizon products and services to their customers. With customer experience being core to the telecommunications business, he knows that the key to standing out and offering distinctive solutions is an open mind, willingness to try something new, and being adaptable. Quote unquote, adaptability is key, he says. You really need to look around, pay attention to the landscape and what people need, and understand what's going on with your company and competitors. Then you can adapt your solution in a smart, business-focused way. So I was really excited about having an opportunity to talk a little bit about, what my MBA meant to me and how I was able to apply that to Verizon. And just hopefully from me reading that and you guys hearing that just now, you get an impression that I've really had a great experience working at Verizon for 12 years and learned a whole lot of different things, had some amazing opportunities to kind of try a lot of different roles, met some great people as well, but it wasn't always amazing. At Verizon, I interned there while I was in school, and senior year, when an opportunity opened up from my internship to a full-time employment, naturally I was really excited for that opportunity. And I had a mentor that I was working with at the time and a few other people there that really, helped guide me in that process of whether or not this particular position that opened up was a good one for me to take. And by all accounts, everyone said, this is a position that rarely opens up and you definitely want to apply for it and hopefully get it. So this position was a systems technician position. It was in operations at Verizon. And I remember working so hard for my engineering degree and having a thought in my mind that my first position at a college, I really, really felt pretty passionate about it being in an engineering type of a role, not in operations. Just for those of you who aren't aware of like the differences between the two. So typically the engineers are the people who kind of design the work to be done. And the operations and the technicians are people who actually implement the work, who actually do the changes and things like that from a technical perspective. I was excited for the opportunity, but I was also I knew that I really wanted to have an engineering position. So I remember the first day of work, I was working in Jersey City. And just to paint the picture of the type of place that I worked at, it was a big building where a small part of that building was the office area, and there was only about 5 or 6 people working there, 2 or 3 working at a time. It was a 24/7 coverage type of a thing. So it was very, very tight-knit. And so like I said, a small part of it was the office space, but then 80 or 90% of the rest of the facility that we worked in was what's called the data center. So it had, all the technical equipment and routers that we were in charge of maintaining and upgrading and everything like that. So first day of work, I remember walking into the office and being, someone fresh out of college and someone who was excited to be there, didn't feel like he had anything to hide or anything to, not be honest and upfront. So one of the first things that I said to the people there when I introduced myself is, my name is Kevin Allen. I'm excited to be here. I want to look at this position as sort of a stepping stone. I definitely want to get into an engineering role eventually. And so just saying that, just being honest, which was completely true, mind you, but just saying that to these individuals was something that instantly dug me a hole where I had to really work extremely hard to climb out of this hole. And the reason it did that is because this is a job that people have that's helping them provide for their families. And here comes a college student coming in and, basically saying, this is not what my aspirations are. I have higher aspirations than this, literally on the first day. And so this was also a position that required respect from your peers because they were the ones that were going to be training you, and there was so much to learn. There was a ton of stuff to learn. And so basically I set a first impression at the position that really was challenging to get out of, but I had to work twice as hard to kind of gain the respect from my colleagues. And I remember challenging myself and telling myself that I was not going to leave this position until I had that respect from my colleagues and from my manager. I ended up, really working hard, getting the respect from my coworkers. I remember getting like a Recognizing You award from my manager shortly before making the decision to start applying out. And that was sort of the moment where I said, all right, I realized that, I've made it. I've gotten out of this hole and now I can kind of continue my Verizon career. So that's the first part of the story, right? Now, fast forward about 5 years later from this point, I'm interviewing for a position still at Verizon, which ultimately ended up being my favorite position in the company. It was a systems integration engineer, and the one where I was able to make the biggest impact, and it was just a great experience there. But I remember during the interview, I felt a connection with the manager. I remember being really open and honest with the hiring manager and shared with her that same story that I just talked about here. And just because I wanted her to know that I experienced this and I've grown tremendously from this moment, she ended up offering me the position and I ended up accepting it. And like I said, just an amazing experience, all the people that I worked with there and the impact that I was able to make and everything. And after spending about 2.5 years there, another opportunity opened up for me over at headquarters, which I ended up accepting. And I remember during the exit interview, I'll never forget this, I was meeting with my manager. She referenced that interview, that same interview when I shared with her that story about my very first job at Verizon. And she told me that really was a major part in her decision to hire me, because she said she's never experienced anything like that before, anyone being that open about something that people would probably perceive as a negative, and how I was able to turn that into a positive and a learning experience. And she told me that at the time when she was debating whether she wanted to extend an offer to me or another person, she said she was talking to someone and she was like, yeah, I'm thinking I had an interview with this person, Kevin Allen, and this other person, and I think I might want to extend an offer to Kevin. And the person she's talking to is like, Kevin Allen. He's like, that name sounds familiar. He's like, I think there was something about him about 6 or 7 years ago working at the Switch, and something about him being a little bit cocky. And she's like, wow, that's funny you mentioned that, because that's part of the reason that I want to extend the offer. He shared that very story with me. And he seems like he's learned a lot from that experience and is ready to bring some value to our team. And of course, the rest was history from there. So I say all that to say, first impressions are extremely important. The thing is it's very difficult to shake a first impression. You have to really work hard to do that. You only have one chance at a first impression, as the saying goes. But I would just say the main takeaway from this video is I want you guys to think about when you are meeting people for the first time, it is important to make sure that you're focused on, presenting your best self. But what if you're meeting someone for the first time and this person that you're meeting is not having a good day? and he or she is just not their normal self because of the fact that they're not having a good day, it's important to note that first impressions are not always indicative, in my opinion, of course, of who the person is. Right, there are other factors, like in my case and like in the case of someone having a bad day, where people do deserve an opportunity to show you who they really are. First impressions, while very strong, are not just the only thing I think that's important to go by. So that's what I wanted to share. I also wanted to give a shout out to Victoria Birch, who is, if you look at my previous video, I had a math question on there, and she got the answer right. She's the first person and the only person to get the answer correct. So the answer was $10. Great job there, Victoria. Yeah, that's where I wanted to leave it at today. Appreciate everyone taking the time out to watch the video. Hopefully you guys got some value and enjoyment from it. And I will see you guys all next week, okay? Take care.